What if Cursor, Taskmaster, and Augment had a kid? That'd be biologically challenging. But anyways, let's talk about it. This is the workflow that I am landing on. I am slowly diverging to, which is the best of all the tools that I've been using by picking and selecting and keeping it simple. So I want to talk about where I started, where I ended, and I will just show you. Let's see. We encountered an issue. I've been just loving this enhance prompt button. If you haven't used Augment, the enhance prompt button is the new Cursor tab because it will be not only really helpful with continuation prompts, which is you finish a thread, it warns you that the quality is going to diminish and you try to bring that context to the next, which is automatically built into Cursor, but it just makes it better. I could say, hey, do this, and it will go and grab all the relative paths, grab all the relative libraries, dependencies, file trees, whatever, and it'll figure it out and make a great prompt for me to continue on. Now, I'm deep in this thread. You can see it's having a little bit of trouble, but it just finished this sprint. So at least that's sprint task 1. But what I've been thinking a lot about with all of these advancements that keep coming out are how do you pick the tools that will last the test of time, and how are they closer to the big provider companies? So there's typical setups, like everyone's always trying to find when they're building stuff, and I'll go into this in depth on a new video on my main channel. It'll go out in a couple days, but you need your tools, right? And so you have your IDE, you need something that's going to solve for context, you need something that's going to solve for your prompts so you can actually get yourself through the AI software development lifecycle, which is just a software development lifecycle using AI, by the way. So you need to know all those steps. And then lastly, you need to have some way of managing your work streams or tasks, but it's not just tasks. So a work stream is a PRD. It's a flow that you're following in order to accomplish the new feature or the new project. And I was talking about this earlier on our Discord with J-Ron, one of our members, and I figured I'd share. So what I did was I always just try to map things to what would you do if you did not have AI. And so in my case, I have this VAI2, the new platform that I'm building for our private network. And it's got a lot of stuff in it that comes from school, which is where I launched the beta, the first version of it. But there's a lot of things that I need to add. And I'm trying to find the best patterns for the code base such that it's really easy to do. And I hit a wall when I first built this, where I chose a stack that the LLM did not like. Now, if you're in the community and you're watching this, sorry, you have to hear me again. But I chose TanStack Start. Long story short is it was like a 3-week spike for me to learn it and then for the AI to not learn it. And unless you're going to go and build your own pipeline for ingestion and dealing with like state machines and all this stuff, which would not make sense, just use Augment or use Cursor or whatever, Cloud Code. Since you're not going to do that, you need to pick a stack that works. And then also the architectural patterns. So I wanted to pick a stack that also had an architecture that LLMs could jump around in a lot, because I want to set up remote agents in a couple of days, or even maybe tomorrow, where they'll own certain parts of the code base. And I'll have sprints that are assigned to different agents. So what I've done was I looked at the workflow that I would do in real life, and I thought, okay, let's just use Agile as an example, and then we'll pair an Agile workflow with the best parts of Taskmaster, which is having a very deterministic way of tracking your tasks. So I went in and I went to Taskmaster, and I just jumped into their GitHub, and I just asked a question to our dear friend, Mr. Copilot. I said, hey, how are you doing? No, I said, how are tasks created? What's the data object look like? And look, he's following me around. That's crazy. So it'll go and it'll find the relevant information in here. And then now I know what the structure of that looks like, and I can compare it and contrast it to what I have. And then I'll use that as part of this workflow I'm going to talk about in a second. So when I look in here, it's going to show me, boom, this is what the object looks like. So there's some stuff in here that I like. So I yoink that. And then I realize, okay, now I have task structure, but like I said, there's a lot of other sets to this puzzle. There's a lot of other pieces in here. Let me just tell this thing, proceed. And I'm going to hit enhance. And it's like when you're in a movie and it's like enhance and the guy's like glasses go bananas. It's going to give me something really good. So that looks fine. Cool. Keep going. So what I did was now I have the way that Taskmaster works, which is I like to have a set of structure for the tasks. And I have my way of doing things, which is more focused on the PRD and making these big docs of very detailed code snippets, relative paths, all the things. But I'm realizing that the more detailed I get, the harder it is for these things to basically just finish a work stream. Meaning signed, sealed, delivered, maybe tagged as a release, maybe document updated, maybe tests, all these things that you want to have from like first line of code done to it's out in the world and tagged and docs and knowledge bases updated. So I didn't want to have it be this giant thing. So this .ai folder is where all the magic happens, right? This is like MTV Cribs. Still going. Does this plan align with your expectations? OAuth flow? Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Enhance. Enhance. I need to have a soundboard for that. But in here you can see I have tasks, I have backlog, doing, done. So this way that I've been working is, that looks great. I have the name of the sprint or the epic, the collection of sprints. And then within there, I have the PRD. So this would be an example where I was like, I kind of want to break this up because by the time I get through the 24,000 tokens, I don't know. I want some dopamine. I want this thing to be moving. I want it shipped. I want smaller bite-sized pieces because all these white things represent when you have a to-do. But then there's all these pieces of relevant information, environment variables, literally everything, right? So I want it a little smaller. It also has mermaid diagrams, flex. And so then I say, you know what? We need to break this up and break it into sprints, no more than 10 tasks. And it did that, right? So at first I wasn't naming them right, but then I did. So it then broke them into all these different sprints. So you can go back in time and you can see now these are 2,800 and it has all the, there it is. This is the Taskmaster object. So now we know what the data signature looks like. Does signature work for that? Function signature, data object, footprint, structure, carbon. My brain's breaking. It's late. But yeah, all this stuff is being here. And then we actually just get to work and we say, all right, go do this thing. Now, once you have all these sprints in here, I'm just moving through them, right? So I got to this fifth one and I realized, hang on, wait a second. We need to defer this because I thought of something that is even better and it needs to happen. And so then I added something, I just tagged it as deferred, whatever. Now, this has been working great for me. And it also, because this has no MCPs, I have a severe allergy to MCPs unless they run on Docker. But because this has a direct integration with GitHub, then I've just been making it have milestones. And so that would be for more so for other people, right? Because task management within your IDE is fine if it's just you, but I'm going to have other people working on this. Those other people are agents that are working on different branches. So I figured, one, it would be nice if a real person did jump in on one of these, but then also for educational purposes for others to be like, oh, yeah, having a record of this. See, the one that I do failed. No, it's because I haven't fixed my CI/CD. But then all of this is in here, and it just, you can see in the last 10 hours that these were all just done by Augment or whatever cursor, whatever agent you're going to use. But this pattern's really nice. And then it has just an absurd amount of changes, and I'm loving it. One last thing, because I think we're dropping frames, is on the actual prompt to have it write tests. So I've found it really helpful for it to do tests and then go write the code to make the test pass. And so what I did was I just explained what I wanted, and then I just prompted around and came up with something that I find helpful. Write the test first, and then implement the code to pass them. And then I told it we want to use bun, we want to use this for Python, all of that, and it's just been great. And then on the tool side, what I've found is you need to make sure that whatever terminal you're using is selected. So it says ZSH is partially supported. I haven't had any issues with it, so that's great. But that's what I put in there. And then my next step will, Supabase obviously is really nice to have in there because it just can, do everything, which is great. But yeah, I haven't had really any issues. Like, this is today. And so 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. I've had 13 threads, and it's completed 7 sprints. So on average, probably 70 different tasks, and 13 into 600, 13 divided by 600, 2%. So what's $50 times 0.02? So it cost me $1 in Augment credits to do this. And the way that I came up with the work originally of having it be domain-based, where in our web project, you can see that I have the API and all the different areas of what the endpoints are. So we have admin stuff for moderation, we have announcements, we have auth with Discord, we have events, we have event IDs, we have registering them for the events, so when we do talks. We have a feed that has comments and posts and likes. We have a GitHub auth that it's doing right now that'll allow members to connect their GitHub, and then people can know when things are happening. So it's like a miniature feed of that. We have the health route. We have a learning route that basically will have these paths that you can follow for the typical things that you'd want to learn in order to code. They have progress, recommendations, topics. We have the members directory with their stats. We have, and you notice there's tests in most of these. Pretty cool. We have the projects. So if people were collaborating on different projects that they wanted to have information so they could share them, because we have share your work in Discord, but I think this would be really cool because not only could you share with internal members, but then we're going to have a page of all of the members' projects externally, which will mean free marketing eventually when we start to do PSEO and all those things. Then we have prompts ID. How many likes do you have on those? Now, what I find interesting is because GitHub now has this models thing, which you can check out that video on my main channel, I can hit their SDK or API, I don't know, I think it's API, yeah. I can hit their API and do read-only for prompts from authorized repos. So if I have ones that are doing really well in their evals and I want to share them, then I can put them on my profile. And then we have Stripe. We have telemetry, JK, I removed that for Sentry, and I also self-hosted Sentry, that was stupid. And then we have users. So users have avatars, they have AI usage because they can bring their own key. Kind of overkill now that I'm seeing all the stuff with GitHub, but we still are gonna have like our version of it. So you could just put your key in there and then test out what the prompt would do. We have learning goals, we have notification system, onboarding, profile, skills, all this stuff. So I'm pretty excited about it, this new flow. We'll have the news feed. So all the API support basically started the day with 35 API routes and essentially all like the functionality within those total that needed to get done. And it stamped these out and it's all tests are passing. So the next step will be really just like wiring it up. And later on, what will be cool is I'll probably add TRPC to allow for a mobile app. but that's much, much later. And how I got to this was just looking at a project called Midday. And I prompted around in Midday with Augment because it's really good at context. And so I wanted to find a project that I thought I jived with, and I thought that LLMs would also jive with. So I was just asking questions. I was like, how does this project do formatting? How does it do linting? And then another one I asked was, how does it handle types? And then instead of fiddling around in a mono repo, like I've spent hours on hours when I was first doing mono repos trying to figure this stuff out, and it was like going to make me cry. But then it gave me this, and then I just I write this to a markdown file like this, and then I put that in my project, and I say, this is how you're going to do it. And then it one-shots it, which is really cool. Other things that I learned when I wanted to set up this setup, dude, I need to not record so late. Chats, threads, what was the other one? Yeah, just basically the type stuff. What else? Data fetching. Yeah, I did a ton of questions, like what do all these packages do? So I get a very detailed directory reference, and I say I want to do the same sort of write-up for each folder in the architecture. This is yesterday. And so it gives me the full output of how theirs is set up. I say, dang, that's cool. And then I give it a prompt to basically tell me, give me everything in a table of what all these things do. And then I bring this into my project, and that sits in my .ai folder, and it's front-end, back-end API audit. That's where I started the day. And then I said, how do I want to structure this? And that's when I got the architecture doc. And so if I pop that Bab Jackson open, you can see that. So it's just the other thing. What are we doing now? Phase 1, next phase 2, repository management, etc. Yeah, that seems good. Now, update our sprint task list so the next dev can continue. Cool. Because I see this little long thread thing, I don't want to risk it. It is fine for 1 or 2 more, but I don't know. It gets pretty bad. So, rather just not have that. Cool. That's it for this video. Just kidding. People ask questions and I answer them. Yeah. Okay. Let's do some questions and answers. Questions and answers. Also, when I'm using Augment is I just keep this little thing right here and I just keep doing what I'm doing. So in this case, I need to go to community. Oh, this is a video I did for members. That's probably what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to tie, gosh, now I got to write it. I need to write out this so I don't forget. Backlog, I need to create one. Tie YouTube membership.md. And I'll remember what that is. It's basically you can do memberships on YouTube. And so I can put a little lock over this, and then those that are members of VAI just see it on normal YouTube, and that'll be cool. Oh, 15 people watched it. Nice. Let's go into questions. This is on the second channel. He says, turn up. Another great video. Thanks. Where can I learn more about your folder structure? In today's daily update. Agreed. Augment's context engine is uncontested. Yeah, it is. Has been the only thing to provide value working in these huge enterprise code bases. Yes, cheese sticks, you're jacked as hell, bro. What is going on? Oh my gosh. Kid is dialed. Hey, Jake, what's up, dude? Everyone go follow Florida of tomorrow. I found Augment to be a waste of money. I switched to the $100. Didn't want to worry about the price using Claude Code. Claude Code. Yeah, Claude Code's probably good. I don't know. Just, yeah, whatever works best for you. Exactly. It's got limits. Black box. What the heck is black box? I guarantee this guy works for black box. This doesn't. No, I can't. No. Bro, don't talk too much about Augment. If it increases its popularity, they'll take away my precious 14-day trial for my 377. Bro, you are wilding out. When did I... Wilding out? I've lost my marbles? Lost my marbles, that's it. How do you do that? I also wanted to... Oh my gosh, I'm not teaching you. Were someone to join your community, would they have access to all the resources, or are the resources gated? Duh. The gate is joining the network. You mentioned a repo, which I searched for. Okay, I'll link that after. I tried it and I liked it. Thank you. Okay, cool. That's on there. And then let's go over to the other channel. We're about to hit 2K. Good job. See, what's so funny is I thought this video was going to go just bananas. But guess what? There's like literally not even one banana. Instead, no. Funny how that works. Turbo starter kit. I never did that. What's with the music? I didn't like it. Okay, Dan. I really thought that the music was good. Why would you make a jingle with a music editing app? Because I'm a freaking musician, dude. I'm literally Avicii, okay? Can't believe him. Okay. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Peace. Oh, like the video. And I gotta do a thumbnail. Ah!